Hey, Steve. You're on.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting of the New Philadelphia Finance Committee to order. I see in the room that Mr. Crimeville, Mr. Lanzer, and Mrs. Ramos are all here, the members of the committee, and myself as the chairman. We are here tonight to discuss and decide whether we want to act on Ordinance 23-2024, which is an ordinance for the council to set up, to allow the auditor to set up a new fund called the Downtown Quadrant Maintenance Fund, giving it the number 282. And if I read this right, this is part of us staying in compliance with the Appalachian Development Grant, is that correct?
That is correct. What it is, Mr. Chairman, if you know the wonderful waterfronts grant money that we received to do the 3 quadrants downtown, we received almost $3 million. And what they want is us to establish a maintenance fund for their investment of $3 million. They want to know that we are going to be able to maintain that. So
Take care of their money. Huh?
yeah, so after talking with the mayor and talking with Heather, or I'm sorry, auditor.
We knew who you meant.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The 444 Bank Lane that we had received in donation from the Hicks family, we received $3,000 rent from them per month. So if you look at that 70%, that is $2,100, which total of $25,200. It puts in that fund. Do I think we'll need that next year, the year after? Probably not, but it builds that fund, but you gotta show that we can.
Right.
Again, you get that grant money for $3 million, they don't want it to probably look like it does now. There you go. So, with that investment, there's what we're gonna do with it. So, when it comes time, picnic tables, or chairs, or new lighting, because the plan will come out, and I'll share that with everybody once we get a better plan. The early stuff is awesome looking, and there is some maintenance with it. So again, do I see it eating that money up first year, 2 years, but down the road, we have to have that there to maintain that. And that's all they just want our commitment from that.
So being able to prove to them we have a line item in our budget that's
Correct.
there specifically to taking care of the improvements that were made.
Correct.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Questions from the committee?
Uh,
Yes, Mrs.
oh,
Ramos?
I'm the alternate, sorry.
That's okay.
So all this is to only maintain public property, no private property downtown?
The 3 quadrants that we're in charge of, correct.
Okay. Because the private owners should take care of their own private part.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Mr. Cramble, any questions?
Yeah, and obviously, if 3 years from now rent goes to 3,200, just, it stays at 70% of that total amount. We're not setting it at 21, it would always be 70% of whatever.
Yeah,
that
70%
rent
if it goes to 5,000, then we're at 35, or 3,500 a month, so yes.
Okay,
We're just gonna keep that way it stays if we do increase. Right now, we have 2 more years on that lease. We inherited it, that lease, so until we can do anything, right there, it's gonna be for the next 2 years for sure, though.
where were those funds going now?
That'd be a question for,
If you don't know, it's.
That was going in just miscellaneous rents and leases.
Okay.
and I think that's the only one we have, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so that's why, it was never there before, and I think that was the only one that we have that's there as far as rent and leases are.
So where does the 30%
Stay in that miscellaneous.
stay in
That's what my
miscellaneous?
plan was,
Yeah.
leave
Yeah,
it there
stay in
for
the
now.
miscellaneous,
All right.
yeah.
Mr. Lanzer, any questions? Anybody from council, questions? Mr. President, yes.
Is there a time frame we have to set that aside?
No, because we're still early on, Mr. President.
20 years from now, do we still have to have that fund?
I would say it's probably, will carry with it,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? I would say just like our, what do I say, like our, Southside Park.
yeah.
We got that grant money, $1.8 million. It can't be sold tomorrow for a housing development because of the fact they gave us $1.8 million to preserve green space. So we just couldn't do that. We could pay back the $1.9 million, but yeah, so I would say, I'm sure they want something on the books, long after we're here and gone for sure. And I think we should want that because the way our downtown is looking, I think we want to keep that money going.
Well, I mean, People change, things change.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, but that fund hopefully will always, hopefully be there. That's a great question though, Dawn, thanks.
Do you foresee if we get any other properties that we're getting rents on, putting them in this same fund, or would we want to act on that as a council at that time?
That's at that time,
Probably at that time?
yeah,
Okay.
reevaluate the money.
Because
that-
it specifically
that's there.
mentions that property in the ordinance, is why I
Yeah,
asked.
yeah, just in case, just, let's evaluate it if it comes to that.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I might have missed it. Is this a need on an emergency basis, or could be held for 3 weeks?
It can be held for 3 readings, that's fine.
Great.
Yep.
Any other questions? I would entertain any kind of a motion for action if there is one.
I move that we add proposed ordinance 23, 2024 to the,
To the next
to the next
agenda?
agenda. Regular scheduled meeting.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Lonzer, you in favor of that?
Yes.
Mr. Crimble?
Yes.
I am as well, so we will then add that to the next agenda for the
August 26th.
next Monday's meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else to come before the committee at this time? Hearing nothing, I would entertain, Dan.
So.
We are adjourned at 6:51. Thank you, guys.
See in the restaurant. About it, finding.
And at 7 o'clock, we will call our committee of the whole meeting to order, and the committee of the whole is all 7 council members, so we'll start off with roll call.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Here.
Mr. Lonzer. Here. Mr. Pace.
Present.
Mrs. Ramos.
Here,
Mr. Ribbit.
Present.
Mr. Simmelink. Mr. Walker.
Here.
Yeah, let it be known, Mr. Simmelink is excused for tonight. Our meeting tonight is to discuss the DORA, Designated Outdoor Refreshment Area, but establishing one for the city of New Philadelphia. We were gonna have, or we're supposed to have a representation from Shannon Fergus, who is an attorney with the law firm of Burgess and, is it Nipple or Nipple?
It's Burgess and Nyepel.
Burgess and Nipple.
Yeah, it's a consulting group.
Because I would like to start off and we could discuss her PowerPoint with the council members to see if you've got any questions and cover. So maybe Joel, would you be able to maybe, do you have a copy with you or?
The
The PowerPoint,
PowerPoint,
yeah.
I would just rather wait till Shannon, she's on her way. About 7:14, she said she'd be here.
Okay.
She thought the meeting was at 7:49. But everyone's received a copy of application. That's what the meeting is about, you know, to get feedback on
Yes.
the application that I made to city council to establish the designated outdoor refreshment area.
So till she gets here, I guess, I don't want to open up to the public until we have a chance to go over all that stuff. So we can probably just wait a few minutes till she gets here.
Well, it's your meeting.
Well, I know it's kind of hard to have the public give participation till we kind of go over the guidelines of the DORA and the, you know, what the definitions are and in our quarter that we're gonna have for the DORA.
that's been publicized, right?
True.
Yeah, publicized
I was,
pretty
I
widely.
would go over all that stuff, and so if we had questions, we could do that, and then open it up to public participation. But, hopefully she's here soon, so, council members, any questions about the DORA? Yes,
Mr. President, oh, go ahead.
Mr. Ramos.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, and I always have questions.
Sure.
Okay, one of my, well, I have several, and then I have other comments too. But what, Mr. Mayor, this question is to you. What was the cost of paying the consultant for her services?
$4,200.
$4,200. And I'm assuming that was out of your economic development budget?
Correct.
So do we know, I know the last time I spoke to city council, I said we hadn't heard any cost benefits analysis or cost from the business owners. So I have the same question for the city. What are the costs to us? These are part of liability, the cost of the signs. It says in the application there are 60 and labor to place. Portable bathrooms, sanitation costs during events, and for during events and for the one-use DORA cups. Okay, so those were some of my questions on the cost to the city. Do we know?
Well, the cost would be the same cost that we incur when we have art on the alley.
So we don't, we're talking about a much wider area.
No, we're not. No, no.
The DORA area is much wider than Art in the Alley.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay, so when we attended, we didn't see any extra trash receptacles this past year.
Well, we will put some more out, but, you know, you need to treat this just like art on the alley. That's what it'll be. I mean,
It's event focused.
yeah. You know, everything from trash collection to police protection. It's really gonna be no different, in my mind, than our own the alley.
And those costs go to the organizer, correct?
And the cost go to the organizers, right, and we have some
Okay, so that's what I'm asking, is
representatives
the
here from our-
organizers are gonna pay the cost?
What's that?
The organizers are gonna pay the cost?
Yes,
That's right in your application.
yep.
Okay. Yeah, it said may, not shall. Okay, so those were the cost. Are I allowed to ask my other question?
Sure.
While we're waiting for our speaker. Okay, so, in the application, it says that the DORA approved establishment, or the liquor establishment, will require servers to complete, this is an idea that I got off of another, city that you recommended that we look at for their DORA. And that's Mount Vernon. I thought it was great, actually. To be DORA approved, establishments must require their servers to complete alcohol server training. And I think it's just voluntary right now. And bystander intervention training to help maintain safety. Certifications will be held in the employee files. And when all the servers have completed the training, the establishment will receive a DORA approved decal. And we can verify this through our health department. But I thought that was a good way to keep things in balance. And then another question I had, for the stickers for the doors, for people that are participating or not participating, with signs for their doors, who bears that cost?
That would be, here to start would be the city.
Okay, so how much do you anticipate that to be?
Haven't had a cost estimate on that, but I will get that to you.
But I think the alcohol, most establishments that serve alcohol, they have to do training to get their liability insurance.
I think it's kind of voluntary right now.
The ones I
Isn't
deal
it?
with,
Maybe you guys know, I know Empower Tusk was encouraging people to take a training developed by the state, and it was voluntary.
well, if you're gonna sell liquor, I mean, you gotta get your
Yeah, I mean, you
servers
have to
trained.
know what you're doing to sell liquor, I understand.
But it's
'cause
throughout the same establishments.
Mr. President, you have some experts here in the,
Yes, I know. I
Yeah,
do.
we heard that, so we can verify everybody's trained through our health department for a safety factor. And I think they already do have to verify the, establishment that you're clean and safe and all that, but I'm talking about the training of the employees.
But your employees go through additional training, that's what she's asking.
Yeah,
Because I've worked at a restaurant, and served alcohol, never took an extra day of training and got a certificate from it, I'll just say that.
How do you know how to do it?
How do you know how to pour a beer? You just grab a hold of the thing, you fill the cup. It's pretty
Someone
easy.
had to teach you something.
Well, but anymore,
There's no
most people have
certificate
to
on
be.
file, is what I'm saying.
Well, you're getting trained by your employees.
All right, that's,
yeah, well, there's standard quart sizes, and not all sizes equal the same amount of alcohol content. So that was just an idea, and because, reading the application too, because we know that, substance abuse, including alcohol, is a problem, not only nationally, but in our community as well. But I didn't see anybody on the DORA board that represented anybody from that area of expertise. So I would like to see somebody on the board representing recovered community, Adams or Empower Tusk, that knows about these issues. And speaking of that, the fees for the cups, I know right now they're supposed to go to the VFW veterans programs. So, and I'm sorry, I have to plead ignorance, I'm not exactly sure what their programs are, although my father was a veteran. But speaking from the recovery, substance abuse angle, I thought some of the cup fees could be divided into two other things. Part of it would go to Adams or Empower Tusk or some addiction service in the community that works in our community, the fee for the cup. And also, you're telling me there's no cost to the city, but somehow I'm just not seeing that. That there be 20 cents or whatever of each cup fee go to the city to cover costs. And then I did have a question, and in the application somewhere about the boundaries could be expanded into abutting properties that abutted the DORA boundaries, and I'm not sure, I didn't understand that, so if somebody could explain that to me?
If someone wants to, the way I understand it, if someone who's not within the DORA area, but is on the periphery of it, if they wanted to be included in the DORA area, they would have to request that to the DORA board. But in my mind, that's something that city council should consider, rather than just the DORA board.
So that's what I was kind of thinking, it was kind of like it's flexible borders. But
Well,
it has to be approved by city
Yeah,
council.
yeah.
Okay, it says on page 8 of the application, that adequate, sorry, I wrote it down, but I want to quote it right. The necessity for portable bathrooms, handicap accessibility, pedestrian boundary management, and trash management, dumpsters, can, pickup, etc., will be addressed, but it doesn't say by who.
The event organizers.
Okay. And it says shall, may, but can we change that to shall? Because legal language, may is like, maybe, maybe not, shall is must, right?
Correct.
So, well, I'm glad she's late. Also, in the application, it gave examples of the nature of area, of the nature of the areas of the area. And I realize not all the businesses and everything is located on the list, but it says it's only supposed to give an example of the nature. But two areas major I think we're missing, which weren't addressed, are churches, and there are 2 downtown in the area. And although government is listed, the library and the post office, which are 2 major governmental organizations, are not in there. And also, we do have some residential in the area, rental apartments not attached to businesses, not mixed use, and they weren't mentioned. So I think that'll give a better picture if we include that. And for the DORA board, some of the other cities I looked at, they had a DORA board. I remember when this first came up, Mr. Nisley first said it, a couple councilmen said to me, "Oh, Cheryl, it'll be okay because council gets to decide." Well, this is a board gets to decide, not council. So,
We set the guidelines. We set all the guidelines that,
yeah, so I'm making some suggestions for the board, if we have a board. That, of course, the New Philly Safety Director was on there, or one community had an MP police, for us, New Philly Police Representative, which you could do that.
yes.
2 downtown retail merchants.
Will they be getting paid if they're on the board? Like the policeman? and-
I'm sorry, what?
Will the policeman, if you're suggesting that they're on the board, will he be getting paid and the policeman getting paid for being on the board, or is that just volunteer for them?
When you sit on a board, is it part of your duties?
Part of the duty.
Part of his duties. Good question,
So that
no?
means he'll get paid.
They'll get paid, that's city income, then you can add that into the income from the city, because you're suggesting that we pay board members. My board, for my nonprofit, they don't get paid, they're volunteer only.
Right, and that's a good point. Because it would be kind of a mix. So, 2 downtown retail merchants, that of course would be volunteer. City council member, an insurance professional, I thought that was great that they added that, Mount Vernon did. 2 downtown license, that's liquor license establishment. Then again, somebody from the substance abuse representing. And then we had the county conventioner, visitors bureau representative. And in the application, it adds a VFW representative. Not sure why. So my suggestion, one of them was, a question, was in other boards that we appoint, or the mayor appoints, the council has to okay those appointments. So, and then a lot of boards, if a suggestion comes out of the board, then the council has to vote yes or no on that. For example, zoning, we're gonna have a big one coming up pretty soon. I have this all in writing too. And the other thing, we had different people come to the meetings before, and they said, I think it was a lady from Ricardo's, I don't know if you're here today or not. Oh, back there. You said we're only, if I recall correctly, we're only asking for 4 events. So this application includes actually unlimited events. You have to ask for it. And fill out a application, which, of course, the applications for the DORA permitted events, we haven't seen that. So I'm sure that's in development. And so, and this application doesn't, of course, include times set. They would be, says there the board does it. I would like to see time set aside for people that don't want to be exposed to alcohol to enjoy an event also. So I think all the other, he answered some of them already. That's what I had written down.
But maybe we can help answer some questions about, we're looking at special events only at this point, correct?
Correct, right.
It's not open
No.
every day, we're talking about special
No.
Right,
events?
but it's
No.
unlimited special
Read
events.
the application,
Yeah.
I did,
yeah. Mr. President, Shannon Fergus is here.
Good.
To make her presentation.
Yeah, come on, you wanna use up front, Shannon?
I apologize, I had 7:30 on my calendar. Apologize for that.
But we have with us Shannon Fergus with the law firm of Burgess and Nyepel, and she's kind of got a PowerPoint to talk about our legislation.
Thank you. All right, can everyone hear me? Okay. This is a pretty quick presentation. It just kind of walks everyone through the key points of the application, which has been available for folks, I think, in the municipal
Yeah.
clerk's office to review for the last month and a half. So just quick refresher. A DORA allows 2 things. Establishments to have outdoor dining and alcohol in the public right-of-way abutting their properties without the need for fencing. Signage that those establishments put up themselves kind of show where the extents of each establishment's patios are. And those plans for those patios without fences are done with a normal right-of-way application that you would do through a city department. So they can't just go and throw out a patio without city approval, but they're able to do that. That really allows for folks that want to be able to provide outdoor dining to their guests, not have to put up a costly fence, just to be able to have alcohol out on their patio. The second thing it does, which I think is the larger part of a DORA, is it allows the option of approved bars and or restaurant patrons to legally walk around a designated outdoor area with an alcoholic beverage that's been served, by a participating establishment. And they can be it needs to be in a pre-designated cup, and those patrons do need to stay within a designated predetermined boundary. So that's really what the two things that a DORA allows, and that we're talking about tonight. So the benefits, like I said, there's no need to build fencing for a patio, which creates kind of a more friendly and inviting atmosphere for a restaurant. And also, in our older historic downtowns, not only in Ohio, but across the country, we don't always have those, large sidewalks we see in newer developments. And so it allows restaurants to have a couple tables outside and expand their seating. During COVID, obviously, this was a huge deal for businesses to be able to stay in operation. Reduction of sidewalk clutter. Oftentimes fences, when it comes to snow removal and things like that, can become an issue for property owners and municipalities. And increased revenue. So 10 years ago when Worthington, which was the first community outside of kind of the big C, outside of Cincinnati and Cleveland and Columbus to do a DORA, they did a 1-year survey. And their establishments within their downtown DORA district reported a 10 to 15% increase in revenue, which is a really big deal to small business owners. I do not know, I know that that was done about 10 years ago, and unfortunately I do not have I don't know of a DORA that's done an updated survey like that, but if you all, I definitely think that more should do that. The proposed boundary ends up including, I think it's like eight to nine establishments are listed here. Establishments have to have a certain type of permit. And so while there are a couple other establishments that sell alcohol, that's more on a market basis, these are actual bars and restaurants within the boundary. They are noted in red on this map, and then the full boundary is what you see in green, and I'll go over the signage locations in a minute here. So there are no proposed hours for this DORA. It's proposed to only be in effect during special events. Organizers of special events must apply to the DORA board to be included. The application lays out who's on the board. And any additional events or amended hours for this DORA would need to be approved by the DORA board. So there is a signage plan in place that is required by the Ohio Department of Commerce, who administers the DORA program. So I've got a couple examples of signage here. This larger blue one right here is the one that the city of Newark, Ohio uses. I actually just snapped this photo the other day, the lower one. Downtown Columbus, Ohio just did their first DORA as well. So they also are just now establishing that, and that was right next to my office. And I was like, oh wow, I guess I'm in a DORA now. That's timely for me to give this presentation. So all boundary signs shall include the language of New Philadelphia DORA and no alcohol beyond this point. And the signage locations, as required by the Department of Commerce, need to be kind of at every terminus point on a public right-of-way of the boundary. So we've noted exactly where that is here, and typically they're on street, poles, light poles, things like that. They're just kind of posted onto there the way you would see like a parking sign or something like that. So you're typically not putting up new structures for a DORA sign. This is some example of cup plans or cup labels. I think that New Philadelphia is currently designing what their cup label is going to look like. But in the application, what we've laid out are three main requirements: that the cup needs to be clear plastic, that the label design must be consistent with any new Philadelphia branding that's in place, and that establishments need to purchase cups from the VFW Post 1445, which is a nice, way to help out a community partner. So another thing that is important within these applications is what's called a sanitation plan. This really lays out, how after a special event are you going to keep everything clean and safe, and during a special event. So for the outdoor dining tables are required to be bussed by establishment staff after each patron departs. So it's not like, that these are tables outside that people are treating like little bar tops that they can just leave stuff and go get another drink. That rule really kind of forces that table to be for diners and not just folks having a drink and then leaving over and over. Trash receptacles will be emptied before and after each event, and as needed and typically determined by the DORA board. More trash receptacles will be placed in the event space and in the DORA boundary if needed, depending on how many patrons are expected. We believe that sanitation staffing levels will be sufficient to execute the sanitation process at this time. No concerns have been brought up about that. So this is my last slide, but I'm happy to go through the application in more detail and answer more detailed questions. But just kind of to talk about where we're at in the process, the executive officer, which in this case, because we're in a mayor strong community, the mayor submits the application to council. Council had 45 days to file public notice of the application, which it did. Council has 30 to 60 days after that public notice was published to either approve or disapprove the application by resolution, but they must take action one way or another. Once action is taken, if the council approves this application, then I go ahead and, ceasing the mayor and the council clerk, notify liquor control, and we send liquor control the application as well as an individual street listing of the boundaries, as well as our signage plan. Liquor control then processes that. They kind of have a cure period where they might email me back and say, hey, what about this? Is anything missing? This isn't my first rodeo, so I hope nothing's missing. But they do sometimes ask a couple questions, and then liquor control actually automatically changes every single liquor permit that is allowable under the Ohio Revised Code to be in a DORA to reflect that DORA status on their liquor permit. The reason that's automatic is if new establishments move into the DORA, there's no application process that's onerous to the business. They're just automatically included in the DORA if they are cool with, if they, typically put a sign on their door and buy the cups, they can participate if they have one of those types of liquor licenses. So that is my spiel, and again, I apologize for being late.
Any council members got questions for Sheriff?
Thank you. So I'm looking at the Ohio Revised Code 4301.82, and it says there has to be an ordinance or resolution.
Yes, that is the resolution you all would pass or not, if you pass a resolution.
We haven't seen one.
Has a
right?
resolution been?
I haven't seen a resolution.
That's the purpose of this meeting.
Yes.
Is to direct, at the end of this meeting, council will decide whether to instruct the law director to develop the resolution or ordinance, whichever.
It's 30 or 60 days after the public notice, which is what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How many days?
I think she said 30
Oh,
to 60.
okay.
I think she
Yeah,
said.
so we're in
past
time.
the 30, so
I wonder where you went.
Just came over to watch your thing.
And my question, and we'll let whatever you have next on the agenda. So somebody goes into a permitted liquor establishment, buys the DORA drink. And they walk, say they start at J&G, one of our local businesses here, and they walk up to, say, Mustard's. They have to drink the whole thing, get rid of the cup, go into Mustard's, and either buy or not buy another DORA cup. So it's a single use,
Correct.
but a single place too.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that really stops folks from, buying alcohol cheaper somewhere else and then it makes things fair between neighboring businesses. And it also allows the facility, the folks, the sanitation plan to kind of know, like, let's say there are a bunch of cups from X establishment, or it just allows us to kind of track any issues by cup, if that makes sense. Because you'll know where that cup came from.
So the cups have a label what establishment they came from?
If the DORA board wants to, sometimes they use just like a sticky dot of a different color for each establishment. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of DORA boards start with that and then just stop because there isn't an issue and there's no need to do that extra kind of tracking of businesses, and instead everyone just kind of uses that same cup. The other reason is obviously the cups need to be clear and you need to know what's in them and all that good stuff. And so ensuring that kind of new DORA cups are happening each time is just easier.
I'm done.
Mr. Griffith, you said you have the question.
Actually, when she walked in, it made my point moot. I was gonna say it might be a good time to explain the rules of engagement for those who are here to speak tonight. But she showed up in time, so we're good.
Well, not yet. What do you envision, Mayor, the DORA board, how big?
It's in the application.
I've read that in.
Yes, so let me pull it up.
And you heard my suggestions for additions,
There's
right?
5
Yeah,
people
and-
want.
Five.
Yeah.
Councilwoman, would you put them, your suggestions in writing
Yeah.
and give them to me? Thank you.
So in the application, the DORA board is proposed to include the following members as appointed by the mayor, but as appointed by the mayor within this application. He can't change it once these people are in here. City of New Philadelphia Safety Director, a downtown business owner, a council member, a New Philadelphia Visitors and Convention Bureau representative, and a representative of VFW Post 1445.
This is volunteer.
Volunteer.
5 members.
All right, any other council members, any questions? Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Walker?
I do. Just one question. So you said this is not your first rodeo.
Yes.
So my question is,
She
since
said
you've
it
done
was
this
her
a lot,
first rodeo.
have you ever heard of any issues in these DORA areas that have passed?
I truly have not. I really haven't. I wish I could give one example, but I can't. Everyone is always very considerate. Folks aren't doing this to get drunk. If they want to get drunk, they'll just go inside to sit at the bar and get drunk. So it really hasn't caused any issues.
Thank you.
All right, now, we'll get to public participation. We'd ask you to go to the podium because we're streaming this live. But we'd ask you to state your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes for your comments. And we're gonna have a timer up on the thing here to try to help us stay in line, so.
Hi, my name is Paula Fawcett. I live on Fair Avenue Northeast here in New Philly. And I have 3 major points I want to make. I have been to a city that has the DORA, and to me, there was no problem. The first point I want to make is I'm an old person, and 9 times out of 10, old persons are conceived as people that, oh my gosh, we don't want to have that done here. I'm an old person, not elderly. My mother's 92, she's elderly. The second point I want to make is when you go into a restaurant with friends and everything, and you sit around the table, and especially at special events, what this is for basically in the beginning, your restaurants get backed up. Those people are in there to make money, especially those servers. That's how they make their day-to-day living. If we can turn that over faster by having the beautiful quadrants all done with seating, you're going to have a quicker turnover, and those people hopefully will make more money. You know, get your final drink, go out and sit on the square where you're doing all these beautiful things. Those restaurants are going to hopefully make more money. The third point I want to make is this: the adult sippy cup. Do you honestly believe that there is not a soul in downtown New Philadelphia or Tuscarora Park that does not have an alcoholic beverage in it? This happens to have iced tea, but let's be realistic. It's already here. Let's make it so we know the people that have it, and then we can keep a better eye on what's going on. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it will bring in, when you see a downtown that's busy and vibrant and people are driving by, don't you think they're going to say, hey, I wonder what's going on? We need to come back here and see. So I am all for it 100%. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next.
Back again. My name's Don Whittingham, 923 North Broadway, business, the Delaware, 112 Fair Avenue Northeast. I'm representing tonight the Impact Group, which is a community-based organization that works with Mayor Day and other leadership to keep the city of New Philadelphia moving forward. And we've identified DORA as being a key piece to that moving forward. I'm just going to repeat a few things that I've already said for the benefit of this discussion. This has been approved by our Ohio legislature. This is not a new law. It's being used all over the state. There's 100+ municipalities currently benefiting from DORA. What makes us different than Canton or Coshocton or Worcester? What makes us so different? They're viewed as being progressive communities. We want to be viewed as a progressive community. I'd ask some of the Impact members to stand up. We're kind of a united front tonight. These are some of the leaders in your community that are backing this up. We've been talking about it for months, and we also invest our own money in downtown to make the city more progressive and more livable. Just putting in the Delaware, it's been a transformative in the music, and the place has just been doing great and very well received. This is an event-based DORA. The way I'd like to use it, personally, is I would like to start a blues fest, similar to Marietta. Has anybody ever heard of Marietta Blues Festival or attended it?
Yes.
It's a very nice event. I want to have a blues fest on Fair Avenue so we don't shut down state routes downtown and so forth, once a year on a Saturday, and use DORA cups to help the attendees enjoy the evening listening to blues. Now, how is this going to impact the moral decay of the community? I don't know. But I mean, everybody's got a right to their opinion. But the event-based DORA is certainly going to allow us to draw more people in from outside the area. Recently, Coshocton had a cover tribute band for a well-known rock band, and 2,500 people showed up and used DORA cups, no incidents. The downtown businesses all benefited. Where's the moral decay? There is none. When you Google DORA, negative effects, virtually, I haven't found anything, just to confirm what the lady from Burgess and Nipple said tonight. There's not much negative impact at all on Google when you research it. There's so much positive effect, however, when you Google positive impact on DORA. So we are behind it. And we're just going to have one speaker tonight because we feel like we're redundant and just stating the points over and over. We believe our leadership here has gotten the points that we would like to make. And please keep our community moving forward. Don't hold us back. And it'll encourage people like myself to continue investing in downtown, which is what we need. So keep us going forward instead of staying stagnant. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Tom Cunningham. I pastor Revive Church, 335 Union Avenue Northwest in New Philadelphia. And so I'm representing a number of people in my church. In fact, I just came from our recovery program to come here and speak. And so I really don't know much about DORA except what I've heard tonight. And so I haven't really have a problem with DORA in itself. But I've preached all over the world, and I have lived in 5 states, and so I've seen a lot of open carry alcohol in downtowns and cities, from Alaska to Washington to Arizona, so I've been in cities with Indian reservations nearby, and I've seen all manner of things, and I've never seen open alcohol carry lackadaisical where it doesn't cause problems. I don't know how DORA has never caused a problem. I don't really believe that. I think we probably don't have those statistics, or I haven't seen them, but I just feel like it could be a major problem. I don't know that New Philadelphia opening this door is worth 10% of increase in revenue. And that's my opinion. I know I work with people that are having alcohol problems, drug problems, major things. I mean, we're dealing with, are you going to put porta potties all through town? Is that what's going to happen? I mean, for the events. So, I mean, otherwise there's going to be public urination. It's going to be fighting. There's going to be trash. There's going to be a number of things. There's houses involved in there. I don't know if all the residents are understanding what their front porch view might be like. I just think that when you bring this in, and I've been in towns that have also voted casinos in, and they thought, wow, the revenue is going to be amazing. It's just going to be incredible. And it completely destroys communities, and it brings them down instead of up. And I graduated from Dover High School. I've lived in Dover since 1969. I disappeared for 30 years, traveled around, but I came back because of the community. And I have not seen alcohol ever make a better father, a better citizen, a better worker. I've never seen alcohol improve anybody. So that's just my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
I've sat there long enough. Okay, Lacey Herbert Stephen. I'm at 152 North Broadway, so right in the quadrant, with a special needs facility moving there. I have 117 South Broadway with a business there, and I have 116 First Drive Southwest with a business there. So 3 businesses, all to children and adults with special needs. My father is a functioning alcoholic. My grandmother died of alcoholism, and I drink alcohol. I can tell you my personal opinion, an alcoholic or somebody that has issues with alcohol is not going to pay an extra $1 consistently at every place to go and drink a beer. That is not even a full amount of beer when it's already $3.75, $4, $4.25. They're not gonna pay what you can get for a 6-pack for 1 beer. They're gonna sit their butts inside of the establishment where you can gamble, where you can watch the games, where you can eat, where you can play pool, and where you can drink your beer that's still overpriced, but more affordable than it is to get 1 or 2 to walk around at an art event or a music venue. We are not talking about every single day having open container on our streets, which, by the way, we do consistently because I see those people in the evenings peeing on my stoops and defecating in my areas. So it is happening now illegally, but we're going to do it for events that could provide more money for downtown. Take in note, Red Lobster now has closed. 5 Barrels Brewery now has closed. The paint shop downtown by Uncle Primo's has now closed. Our businesses are dwindling. Small businesses are not thriving and surviving like they used to. So we either look at an example from how many communities that have no problems at all. Not one. We can't even go on record for one. You can't Google one. You take a chance, and if it doesn't go well, and it does not meet the needs or the expectations we think it will be, guess what you can do at DORA? You can vote it out. You either take a chance and see what happens, or you live in the dark, and then more businesses close.
I spend a lot of money and a lot of time away from my children to put forth effort and love into this downtown community. And I'm working with children and special needs humans. If I am supporting it and thinking that maybe this could be something good for my friends that own these businesses that will be able to serve these people quicker, we'll be able to provide more food for them, because guess what? Some of these people are coming from out of town because now they're like, oh, cool, we can, yes, because they're gonna have a beer. They're not gonna have 17 beers sitting out there. Well, somebody might, but that's expensive. But they're gonna have a beer or two for that couple hours of the event, and then they're gonna see Gavin's and go, oh my God, we've never been there before. We should come for martini night, or come for wing night at Brew House, or come on a Wednesday, Thursday over at Mustard's. They're going to experience different restaurants that they wouldn't have done had we not had DORA with our events. That's just how people are, we're all different. So we take a chance, we see what happens as a community together, and then we come back and we say, oh, heck yeah, that was awesome, or, oh, poop, we made a mistake. But I don't think it's gonna deter us any more than what we're already going through with the businesses that we see shutting down around us. I mean, good time. Right?
Thank you.
My name's Ted Knapp. My wife and I live in the airport area, Harry Cleverfield. I first heard of the designated outdoor refreshment area being introduced in New Philly in a Times Reporter edition that came out. It caused me to wonder what purpose it would serve. After some research, I found an article from an Ohio State University publication called The Ohio Line. It begins by explaining the legal rights to have a designated outdoor refreshment area. Then it addresses the following questions. Why are DORAs popular? Regardless of the size of the specific outdoor areas, the goals are the same: to boost local economics. The aims to boost foot traffic into town centers to create thriving social hubs that can benefit local businesses. In a Times Reporter article dated July 22nd, 2024, the mayor is quoted as saying, and I quote, "Downtown New Philadelphia is the undisputed heart of our community. With the threat of bricks and mortar retail from online merchants and fierce dining competition in the Eastern Ohio market, we must do everything within our power to maintain the experiential nature of our historic downtown." I want to emphasize those last two words, our historic downtown. So I find it difficult to understand how toting alcohol around during special events in designated areas plays a role in the integrity of New Philadelphia's historic downtown. If you want to promote history and preserve it, let's go back to the founder, John Knisley, who was a friend of David Zeisberger, the founder of Schönbrunn, the site of Ohio's first school, first church, and first code of laws. In those laws was the absolute prohibition of alcohol. Are we too far removed or desensitized to why alcohol was forbidden back then? Since Knisley and Zeisberger were friends, I assume that those first state laws established at Schönbrunn carried over into the founding of New Philadelphia, and you can check your historical records and correct me if I'm wrong. That part of history is very far under the water under the bridge now, as we know. We've come a long way. And we are now confronted with this idea of designated outdoor refreshment areas. It is my opinion, and we all have them, that DORA is not compatible with the image of this city. To me, it is not progress, but rather regress. And now one last comment. Some here might find what I'm going to say extreme and unimaginable. However, being blessed to live 65 years so far has provided the opportunity to observe human nature, of which I am certainly not exempt. If the designated outdoor refreshment area is implemented, it then invites and you want to think forward, remember, this is what we're talking about, thinking forward. We best think forward on this one. It invites other options to be included. With the changing marijuana laws, it will be just a matter of time, in my opinion, until it is introduced for use in outdoor designated areas. New Philadelphia should maintain its integrity by denying the DORA movement. I see no connection to it for maintaining, and I quote, the experiential nature of our historic downtown. New Philadelphia should not easily be persuaded by the latest popular movement introduced by really just a handful of people. The drinking of alcohol should be kept indoors.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Hi, my name is Nick Javis, 439 Fair Avenue Northwest. I'm a person in recovery for 15 years. I also have been blessed to run an organization that helps women struggling with addiction in Dover, and we just bought a house in New Philly, down the street on Fair Avenue. My hope is to see people in recovery healing here, choosing this place to call home like I have. I'm not originally from here, from California, and I've lived in different places. Speaking of which, some friends of mine just moved here from Florida, from South Florida, after living here for a couple years. What they didn't say to me when they moved here was that this was such a progressive community they needed to come back to. They came here because of the community. They came here because of a hunger that's happening around purpose and healing and mission and community and just everything that we're talking about. So I really believe that everybody shares the same heart, which is that we want to see a thriving city. We want to see people in it thriving. We want to see businesses thriving. I want my kids who are growing up here to walk into thriving businesses and properties and everything. What you might not know is that there's a movement of people in this city that see this and have a vision for this area to be a place of healing and restoration for everybody. I mean, houses being restored, people being restored, jails empty, and we're crazy enough to think that it's going to happen. So, like, we have this vision. So we want to make sure that our decision making is framed around the right thing. Is it actually the needs of our community? Is it not? Is it in line with everything? So I'm actually not here to say yay or nay to the DORA, because again, I think we all share the same heart. But just to remind ourselves that this is a special place. We don't need to be like other communities. We need to take care of what we need to take care of here as a community, and we have it all right here. So hope that makes any sense to some people, but I appreciate your time. Thank you guys for all your work, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jessica Haney, and I live at 935 Tuscarawas Avenue. And I also purchased another building downtown, 140 First Drive, so I'm right down here in the quadrant. I actually am pro-DORA, but I do not drink alcohol. And I live with alcoholism in my family. And I kind of overheard people talking when I came in that I was a bit stereotyped. I do not do drugs, and I do not drink alcohol. So I am an artist, and I want this town to thrive. And I have a business that can give back, but people make choices. Everybody makes choices. And I believe that the people in our town we all want the same things, like you said, we do. And the choices we make is what's going to make a difference. I think the people downtown who are serving that are going to make a choice whether they're going to keep serving somebody or they're not going to keep serving someone. We're going to look around the outside of our businesses and go, hey, there's some riffraff happening. We better check this out. I know I watch everything, and I love our downtown, and I want our people to thrive, and I want them to buy art and sometimes alcohol makes people buy art. And, but honestly, for the events that I have seen here, and I have been a part of all of these events, I personally cannot see where it may get real bad. And also, to address people publicly going to the bathroom, I have, on Tuscarawas Avenue, had to put up a fence around my own yard because it's happening to me more than once, and finding their beer cans in my yard. It's terrible. It happens everywhere still. I don't think that just an outdoor event is going to make that happen more. And again, I do feel if this does not work, we should take it away. But if it does work, yay. So that is my conclusion. I just thought I'd let everyone know that I am for it. I'm an artist, and I'm completely invested into our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dale Burke. I live at 1003 Ray Avenue Northeast. It's ironic to me that what we can rationalize and we can turn our eyes away from for the bottom line. And there was a slide up on the screen that said that the DORA project's gonna give everybody 10 to 15% more revenue over the sale of the DORA cups. But what I need to ask you, and this is quick, how much revenue are you gonna lose because of a large percentage of the population in this city that decides they're no longer gonna do business downtown because you passed this? And also, as a reminder, those people are voters too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes.
My name is Heather Van Sile, and I'm 110 South Broadway. I'm at Yavins. And the point that I want to make is that I think I represent the liquor license holders within the district when I say that we're already liable and in control of the liquor distribution and sales within the area. So nothing's going to change. If anybody's going to be more cautious, it's us, because we already have the liability. So I don't think that just because you can walk around with a drink, we're going to be flippant and less tolerant of, I mean, those liquor licenses are our lives. We employ so many families that make money off of those liquor licenses. We're not going to put them at risk just because you can walk around with a cup. And I just want to, we've been operating liquor licenses in this town for almost 30 years. So I feel like we have a very consistent record. I just wanted to say that.
All right, it's about, just gonna try to cut it off at 8 o'clock here. Go ahead.
I'll be quick. Tim Seidel, 402 Tuscarawas Avenue, and also around the corner frames, 128 Allen Lane. To address the historical part of it, the gentleman that brought that up, I am in a historic building. Jessica has a historic building. He just renovated an historic building. Costs a lot of money. A lot of money. And I don't see a lot of people just coming around dropping money in our lap to go, hey, cool building, love to help you out. Yep. The only way we get money to do that is we have to increase revenue, and 10 or 15%, that helps a lot. If you take a trip to downtown Massillon, my business was up there for 17 years. We just went up there over the weekend. 3 buildings have been leveled in downtown. Disrepair, people not taking care of it. When I left, part of the reason that they weren't being taken care of is that downtown was a ghost town. It's coming back. They're doing a lot of things. They've implemented some programs, but for a long time, people just left. They went to the mall. They went to Belden Village. They went other places. Downtown was not thriving, and those people, their buildings are gone, and you don't get them back. You can't walk down there and go, boy, that was a really cool building. I wish it was still there when it's gone. So those of us that are downtown trying to make it, it's tough, and I wish that there were other ways to bring people downtown, but it's tough to get people from another community to come here. We have to have events, which we've all been working on, and we have to have reasons for them to come. And I think this is going to be one that allows people from outside the community to go, hey, let's go over there and let's spend our money. And I trust me, I don't want any problems. That's the last thing I want. One of the other reasons I left Massillon, there were a lot of problems up there because of the community that was around there. And like I said, they've turned it around, they come the other way. So trust me, I don't want problems. And if I see them, I'm gonna report them. I'm gonna report it immediately, because that's my bottom line, that's my livelihood, that's how I pay my bills. So if you see somebody walking around with a cup and they've got something in there and they're acting like an idiot, report them. And I think that is absolutely gonna be on the city to be very diligent to, if the call comes in, it needs to be answered, it needs to be a priority, and it needs to be taken care of immediately and dealt with. And I think if we do that and the word gets out that there's not gonna be any shenanigans allowed, then that'll set the tone. Because none of us want any problems, but we definitely need the money influx to come in. And we're also open to other suggestions. So this isn't just a one and done thing and let's, clap our hands and say that we've done it all and we've solved the world's problems. It's one small thing. I think we just need to keep adding things to our repertoire and keep moving forward so that everybody can enjoy it. And like I said, if there's a problem, report it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Josh Davis. I live at 1113 12th Street Northwest. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time. I'd first like to address the taxpayers and citizens of New Philadelphia. This meeting tonight is mostly a farce. If asked for an honest show of hands, the council members have already made up their mind about whether or not this is going to go through. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming. I wish that they could sincerely thank you for being here as well. Upon this decision being made, much anecdotal and personal experience has been given, and there have been, however, 0 actual studies or on-the-record testimonies which have been given with genuine evidence to the claims of the benefits of the DORA initiative other than the increased revenue. We've simply heard stories of how it's changed and bettered other cities. However, there have been no actual studies to see if these, to be honest, what the gentleman just said a moment ago sounds like his city that he left got worse, so I don't know. But anyway, I don't want to be like those other cities. If I wanted to live in Canton, I would have bought a house in Canton. If I wanted to live in a place with a DORA initiative, I would have bought a house in a place with a DORA initiative. Next, I'd like to address the culture of New Philadelphia. You'll hear, if you haven't already, many times tonight about how this has worked so well for Canton and other places. I'm here to tell you I don't want to be like them, and those places are not as family-friendly as New Philadelphia is. It's just plain and simple. New Philadelphia is a family-friendly environment, and to make a decision that's going to change that is nothing short of selfish. Business owners have come to New Philadelphia from other cities and areas to invest in New Philly, not because New Philly is some thriving metropolis where millions are waiting to be made, but because the real estate here is cheap and the people here live comfortably enough to have spending money. So they start their small business here in New Philadelphia, and then they come in with these wonderful ideas of starting a DORA initiative and in order to generate revenue. Well, that revenue goes into their pockets, whether or not they want to admit it. They say that all of the money goes elsewhere. Well, it's just not the case. The money ends up in their pockets. That causes expenses to increase. My cost of living will go up because we become a bigger city, and my cost of living gets more and more expensive. Meanwhile, they don't care because they're simply profiting. I don't want to live in Canton. If I did, I would. I would have bought a home there. I don't want to live in Dover. If I did, I would have bought a home there. I want to live in New Philadelphia and what New Philadelphia was 5+ years ago. I don't want to live in what New Philadelphia is becoming over the course of the next couple of years. These small business owners who are coming in from other cities to develop their businesses here and make their money, sell their investment off, they should have no say in this matter. Those of us who have been here for many years, and plan to be here for the rest of our lives should be the loudest voices speaking to the council tonight. Please don't discount that. Next, to you council members. Typically, and maybe I missed it, but I'm surprised that tonight we didn't open in prayer. Typically, we open in prayer, and we invoke the wisdom of the Almighty God. You have two options. One, stop invoking his name. That's my Father. That's the God that I serve, and for me to hear you use his name in such a way that you are accessing political gain, meanwhile, hypocritically, making unrighteous and ungodly choices every step of the way, is deeply offensive, both to me, but more importantly, deeply offensive to him. So you can either stop doing that altogether, or number two, which I would consider your better option, you can repent of the fact that you've been doing it for some time now. You can apologize to the Almighty God for making bad choices under the umbrella of godly wisdom. You can apologize for praying to him to give you wisdom while you turn around and make those choices, and you can stop doing that and change and be the men and women that God has called you to be. The Almighty God is not a tool to be used for political gain through a half-hearted prayer of wisdom prior to dismissing the voices of counsel that are here to speak to you tonight. God does give wisdom to those who ask for it. Oftentimes that wisdom comes in the form of a voice of reason being spoken. That voice speaking out an unpopular, however righteous, opinion. If you're going to make a decision under the banner of godly judgment, it ought to be on the record that you believe that this is truly a decision that Christ himself would enter into this chamber and vote in favor. And if you can sit there and tell me that you believe the Almighty God, who sent his Son to die for the world in their unrighteousness, would come in here and say, you know what we should do? We should make a decision that encourages immorality and blatant sin. Then I don't know. If you know the same Jesus that I know. As a bare minimum, stop invoking the name of God and spitting in his face. Finally, I know I'll be easily dismissed just as some conservative anti-alcohol pastor, even though I'm not. I have no problem with drinking responsibly. I simply believe in standards. This is really important.
No, you got 5 minutes.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I stood here for 15 minutes while your meeting ran late, so if you'll give me another 2 minutes.
My meeting didn't run late.
So here's the deal.
You're done.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, trying to keep this an hour, 10 after 8. I
We
appreciate.
might have more speakers.
Sure, I was trying to keep it an hour.
his meeting.
Everybody's saying the same thing.
We didn't announce that at the beginning, though, time limit. Do we have any more speakers we could ask?
It's his meeting. Yeah.
It's my meeting, I called it.
And could he submit his statement in
He
writing
sure
to the
can.
clerk?
He
You
sure
can bring
can.
it to the clerk.
All right. Like I said, it's past 8. I appreciate everybody coming out, their comments, and I respected everybody's comments, whether you're for or against this DORA. But I do appreciate you taking your time to come. I asked council, do we have any recommendations that we want to take from our council as a whole to city council meeting on Monday night?
I'm writing, I think the mayor's gonna consider some of the suggestions that the board members. So if we could, like, amend the application.
We could do that on the floor.
Well, that never
I move that we
happens.
draw up the proper legislation for the application process and have it ready for the next council meeting.
So, Marvin, do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Craneville? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to draw up, to have the law director draw up the proper legislation for the DORA, and to have it on the agenda for Monday night. Roll call.
Mr. Lanzer.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
No,
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
All right, we'll have the law director draw up the legislation and have it on the floor for Monday night. No further business for the council at all. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lonzo. 8:09. Again, thank everyone for coming.